Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Unleashed podcast with me, Dominica Dunku. I have here with me today Dr. Ughwujabo, right? Have I
Yes,
got it correct?
that's correct. Yes.
Okay.
But you
Uh,
can call me Nero as well.
I can call you Nero. I
Yes.
don't want to be too, yes, that's his name. First of all, I have a bone to pick with you
Okay.
before we start talking about the main reason why we are here.
Mm,
You got invited to the king's coronation,
mm.
and he just sent me the invite and didn't take me as plus one. he
Yes.
sent me he sent to me, look at me, yeah, I'm invited. And I said, oh, so do you want me to cry about that? Did you do that on purpose?
No, it wasn't on purpose, but the invitation is for one. So,
I
with
know.
these things, you can't just go with a plus one.
I know.
Mm,
I of course I understand completely. For you to even
mm.
secure an invite to such an exclusive event is so huge. So congratulations, and with your beautiful representing Nigeria attire.
Thank you very much. I
That's
thought I should go as myself, as a Nigerian, as you said, and showcase our culture as well.
that was fantastic. So Dr. Ughwujabo does a lot of work with equality, diversity, and inclusion in with
Mm,
the King's Trust,
yeah.
helping young people. Do you want to please tell us what that is about, what you really do, what your role is?
Okay, so my role is as a senior strategy advisor, equality, diversity, and inclusion. So the King's Trust is an organization established back in 1976. So we're approaching 50 years by His Majesty the King, but when, of course, he was the Prince of Wales at the time. And the organization is basically there to support young people into employment or to start their own business. So this is about basically helping young people, particularly those who are facing barriers and challenges in life, and helping them to rebuild their lives essentially. So what I do is work on the equality, diversity, and inclusion. One, you might be aware of the Equalities Act that all organizations have to be responsive to.
Right.
So the two sides of it is that in terms of our services, we want to be able to make sure that we're reaching all of the young people who need our support, and looking at our data to see if there are any particular groups of young people from different backgrounds who may not be accessing our services. We will do work to make sure that we can reach those young people so that we can have a population of young people who look and feel like modern Britain, is representative of modern Britain, and no one is unduly disadvantaged from not being able to access our services. So whether it's young people from a Black Asian minority young background,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's young people who are female
Mm-hmm.
or young people living with a disability or long-term condition, we want to make sure everyone can access the services of the trust. Then on the other hand is also about your our staff makeup, our colleagues. Again, making sure that we look like the young people we serve, we look like modern Britain, that we have staff from all backgrounds, and that everyone is able to bring their true selves to work. So no one is facing any barriers in the organization because of their background or any other protected characteristic that they might have.
That's very fantastic. And the reason why I say that, as you know, my job, um, helping young people, I meet a lot of young black young, it could be teenagers in their late teens,
Mm,
and they always seem so disenfranchised
mm,
that the system is not giving them anything.
yeah,
And from my own, it's usually those that are single mothers.
right.
There's a lot of how to get the young ones to see that the system is here for them,
Mm,
protects them,
mm.
and in that regard, how can somebody, because they hear these things, how is it accessible to them, easily accessible to young people? How can they come to you? How can they get to the King's Trust to
Mm.
see and what do they need to bring to be heard?
Yeah.
Anything.
So our doors are open to every young person, but very specifically, as you've said, there are young people who face huge barriers in their lives. Again, whether it's to do with the fact that they might be a single mother or they come from particular parts of the country, particular deprived neighborhoods, and so on and so forth. And some of those young people will have a more, I suppose, a more difficult help seeking behavior. So they're not necessarily the ones who have all the opportunities, who have uncles who can recommend them, and so on and so forth. So we have a range of ways of trying to reach out to those young people. One, obviously, we have a website where young people can go and just have a look and see if any of the activities are things that they want. And absolutely anyone can apply. Anyone can go for it. In fact, we want those young people who face more barriers. We also do our best in our marketing to show everyone that this is an organization that's open to you. We have, we call them YDLs. These are youth development leads who basically go out into communities. They connect with organizations. They connect in places where young people are so that we can show them the services that we provide and hopefully get them coming to us for support. But every young person that you have, if they need support, you can either direct them to the website. You can even speak to me. I will connect them to the right people. But it's an organization that's open for everyone.
And there is no criteria, no eligibility. Just come as you are, and they will hear you.
That's correct.
Be it whether you want to go to the route of academics, because some of them don't want to pursue that, or they want to do apprenticeship in every. So that is available.
Yeah, so things like that are definitely there. So we have programs. So as I said, most of the programs are geared towards supporting young people to go into a job or supporting young people to start a business. So for those who are, it's about going into employment. There are so many different sectors that we work with. So we have this program called Get Into. So it could be get into retail, it could be get into digital, get into media, a whole range of different sectors that people can get into. So they can get onto those programs that is of interest to them. We've got a program that is about health and social care. So for people who want to work in hospitals or in the care sector or generally in the health sector, that's a program where you get the training, you get a placement, and hopefully you get a long-term job from it. And then on the employment side, we've got enterprise competitions, enterprise programs. You get a mentor that supports you, and you get to kind of walk through the whole process of starting a business, promoting your business, and actually beginning to earn an income. We've had marketplaces, for example, for those young people who have started their business. We do marketplaces so that they can just basically, we help them to begin to meet customers and to sell their products or their services.
Oh, that's good. And they don't have to come. They just have to. Do they have to like prepare, like business plan or things?
So
If
have
they
your
have
idea
to,
and we
yes,
will help you to do the business plan.
right.
So if you have an idea and you feel that, that, this idea, there are customers that would buy that idea, the role of the trust is to help you explore all of the issues around it, explore how to put a business plan together, how to market your business. You get the support from somebody from the business world who can absolutely be there for you if you have questions and so on and so forth.
So just to make it very clear, because like I said, I get a lot of, I see that every day at my job. You've just heard Nero said that they will assist you with the business plan. So it's not to be put off to say, I don't have anything to offer. They will listen to your idea and help you for it to come to life.
Correct.
Right?
That's correct.
That's
Absolutely.
the way I've understood it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that. And now moving on to your other role, being special advisor to the former Prime Minister Theresa May. What was that about? What did you do? What did you advise her on?
Right. So I was special
Sorry,
advisor.
I'm not cutting off because you see, I like to talk about these things so that people like us will see that it's doable. That's why I'm exploring that for you, for our young Black ethnicity, or not just the black one, like you say, any ethnicity, minority, so for them to see that is doable, that you can actually get to the height you want to get to with the right channel of believing. That's why I'm exploring that. It's not
No
just
problem
for
at
the
all.
benefit of our young audience.
Yeah, so interestingly, when I joined, it was Simon Woolley who pointed out that I was actually the first person of African descent to be a special advisor to a UK Prime Minister. So, in a way, it's strange given the amount of time that black people have been in the UK. So, I understand what you're saying from that perspective of shining a light for young black people to kind of see the possibility. So, I was special advisor for social justice, opportunity, and young people. So, those were my policy areas. There are different types of special advisors. So you have political advisors, you have media advisors, and you have policy advisors. So I was a policy advisor. And I was lucky to lead on one of the Prime Minister's special projects. It was called the Race Disparity Audit. So what the Prime Minister wanted to do was that obviously there's a lot of talk in the country historically about discrimination, about inequalities, and about the fact that communities complain that they don't have the same access as the, let's say, the host community, the white British population. So she commissioned this report, the Race Disparity Audit, the first anywhere in the world, to actually look at data, look at information, and say, is there real evidence that supports claims of discrimination and inequalities? And that report did find that there were significant differences, that ethnicity played a role in outcomes when you engage with public services. So this was looking at all public services. For example, if you are a young black male, you are 4 times more likely to be unemployed compared to your white counterpart.
That is what the report found.
That's what the report found. And it also found things like which communities are most likely to own a home, and black African Caribbean were further behind other communities.
We're the bottom.
We are at the bottom. When you look at levels of unemployment, then you see huge levels of unemployment amongst Pakistani and Bangladeshi women in particular. You look at criminal justice and you look at young people who are more likely to be stopped and searched. These are young people from a black African Caribbean background. And if you look at education, which young people are most likely to be excluded from school, again, you will see black African Caribbean, Pakistani, Bangladeshi on that list. So what it showed us is that there are a whole range of public policy areas where people essentially suffer because of their ethnicity. And so the Prime Minister was very keen that we must explain what the data say to us or we change it. So that was her call to the rest of government to say explain or change. So we worked on that explain and change program once the audit was published. And then we worked with different departments to come up with solutions, to come up with policy solutions to be able to make progress, make much more progress in that space. And this work is also clearly about equality, diversity, and inclusion because it's making sure from a social justice perspective that we address this, what the Prime Minister called long-standing structural inequalities, you know, the burning injustices. And it extended to issues such as the LGBTQI plus communities, a whole broad range of issues there. It extended to women. The gender pay gap was one of the things we published during my time. And it also extended to things like disability. You know, when you talk about employment, levels of employment, then people who are living with a disability or long-term condition, you know, are significantly more affected than anyone else in terms of access to jobs, being able to stay in a job, and being able to have the right support that you need in order to thrive in that job.
Wow. So after that paper was published, I mean, it's good on paper. Did the what was done to do any change? What did the Prime Minister do to just so for our audience to know?
Yeah, so in the time that we had,
Yeah.
there was a lot that we did. So in the first announcement, we launched further investigation into um, school exclusions to understand why young people from particular backgrounds have been excluded from schools.
Mm.
This was particularly important for me because prior to joining government, I'd worked for 16 years in the community as a leader in a black-led organization
Mm.
that was raising these issues. So I understood that this was a particular concern for our black parents. You know, every parent is worried about their children in schools, wanting to make sure that they can stay in school
Yeah.
and thrive in school. So we published that report. We launched that report. It was called the Timson Review into
Mhm.
School Exclusion. And that led to a number of recommendations to the DFE, the Department for Education, and making sure that schools are engaged around this whole exclusion issue. Uh, we we set up an organization with 90 million pounds to focus specifically
Wow.
on employment,
Mhm.
on getting young people into employment, in particular young people from Black, Asian, minority background. That fund is still in an organization called the Youth Futures Fund,
Right.
and it's still there today. It's still operating today, which is something we're immensely proud of. And part of what it does is basically look at what works in getting young people into sustainable jobs and supporting and funding other organizations who are doing that work. We also did a project on employment hotspots. This was basically looking at, like I said, unemployment rates, particularly amongst Asian women, Pakistani, Bangladeshi women,
Minority in
very, very
general.
high.
Yeah.
Yes. So we looked at across the country to look at the areas where these levels of unemployment are very high.
Mhm.
And we focused on working with all of the agencies in those areas. One, to understand the issue better, but secondly, to get people into opportunities. Um, so there's a whole range of areas in which we responded. We also looked at, for example, universities, um, levels of access, particularly to the Russell Group or to Oxbridge, and challenging those universities to think differently about why do they have the population of students that they do, and how can we improve the diversity of their intake. So we engaged them as well. We looked um, all the way from the funding that goes to them and linking that to outcomes in terms of diversity, as well as programs such as I think it's called Athena Swan, which
Mm.
is their race equality work within universities,
Yes.
to make sure that that can be improved as well. Again, we want to see more diversity in these key public institutions to make sure that they reflect modern Britain.
Did that bring any change? Did you see any more um, minority getting into Oxbridge?
Yes,
And
definitely. Mm.
because just I know I'll give you time to expand on that very shortly, because you can see Stormzy was doing something as well
Mm.
to get more from the black community to get into Oxbridge.
Yes.
So, which is why I'm asking this question: did that lead to any more um, people from minority getting into Oxbridge? And if it did,
Mm.
what percentage would you like attribute that to?
Mm. I
Was it
don't have
great?
the specific data now, but I know that there has been improvement
Right.
since that time.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, one of the key points around this is, in fact, raising the issue, raising the awareness that there is a problem in terms of what the data is telling us, and providing the evidence. Because historically, when black people would complain about different things, you hear people saying we're playing victims and so on and so forth. But now you have hard evidence. We've shone a light on the disparities that exist
Mm-hmm.
in all of these different aspects of public life. So I think that made a big difference. Again, we convened the university leaders, um, and the most important point is trying to introduce real things that will help to drive change over time.
Yeah.
So, for example, linking your recruitment of students to the finance that you get, that's a big deal. It's not something that was done before. So if you don't make the progress that you
That
say
is
you're going
really
to
a
make,
big deal.
yes,
Yes.
then that will impact on the resources that you get from the government. And then for different,
Because it forces them to actually.
it forces you to take the action.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we need to do more of those things. So when people say there's not much we can do, it takes a long time, and all of those things, there are actual things we can do to drive change. In a very simple and
For
straightforward
example,
way.
you have to get what can we do to, in addition to what you're already doing?
Yeah, so on school exclusion, for example, when I was working in Croydon as chief executive of the Croydon Black and Minority Ethnic Forum, we raised concerns about the young men in particular being excluded from schools in Croydon. There was a whole range of young people being excluded. And the local authority, we had something called the School Improvement Board.
Right.
So where the local authority gives money to schools in order to help improvements and drive progress in achievements and so on and so forth. So what we did was to say to the school, if you exclude a child, we would deduct this amount of money from the money that you get. So let's say we would deduct £2,000 per child that you exclude from school, right? Yeah. Croydon was the highest excluder of young black people from schools back then. So in the first year that we did this, guess how many young people were excluded from schools?
Tell us.
0.
Wow.
Yes. Because the schools, what they did was they found other solutions. Yes. So they found ways within the schools to handle those children who might be disruptive in some shape or form, to provide them early support, provide them pastoral care. We were running a mentoring project so we could provide a mentor to young people who were at risk of exclusion. So what I would say to that is that they actually did their work, which is that you identify children who might be struggling early on. You provide a wraparound support for them. You provide, community support for them. Perhaps also possibly you provide support to the parents. Maybe the schools are not set up necessarily to provide support to parents, but they can also work with other community organizations who can do that. And what we found was that made a massive difference in the lives of those young people. So it's not just about the school. Of course, they didn't want to lose the money, which is why they paid the attention. I would argue that they should pay attention anyway. Regardless. And unfortunately, these systems are just not set up to kind of do these things that they should be doing naturally. The schools will tell you they're so busy, they've got so many things to deal with, and so on and so forth. What I would say is that means that you as a school, you're not really taking the welfare and the interest of the young people to heart, because you should do everything possible to ensure that those children remain in school. I think historically they probably just didn't care or pay attention enough. There is almost an acceptance that these young black kids are going to misbehave, and so there is this process. It's like a factory process of just bring them in and bring them out. And the reason why this is such a crucial thing is that it has an impact on so many other things.
Right.
So there's something we call the school to prison pipeline. A child who is excluded from school inevitably will end up in prison. There is so much evidence.
That is the reality.
Yes, there's evidence that is happening. So what happens is they get removed from their mainstream school. They get put in a pupil referral unit. We already know that pupil referral unit, the children there have the worst outcomes, And in fact, you can just see it because you take a child from a school and you put them into a pupil referral unit where all the bad kids are gathered.
Yes.
So what happens? It's like a university for badness. Those young people are going to go on to antisocial behavior. They're not going to have the qualifications to go on to further education, potentially then involved in criminal activities, potentially then in prison. So it's a huge impact on the individual kid. It's a huge impact on the family. It's a huge impact on the community. And it's something that needed to be addressed.
I think you've dealt with the next point that I thought viewers might, because that is done, but we still cannot excuse bad behavior. The reason why I say that, I don't want people to say, because you said that after that has been set up, when the school knew that funding was going to be affected.
Mm.
And then that time, you didn't have any exclusion. You don't want to have the case of, okay, we are bending because we don't want to lose funding. We're not going to punish bad. How do you balance both? Because bad behavior still needs to be punished.
Yeah.
And but also obviously give opportunity for change. So how do you balance? Do you think that the
Yeah.
school wouldn't have been feeling that they were back to the wall to do?
I think there is evidence, and I know this is controversial, but nevertheless, it's my view. I think that there is evidence that these exclusions were just being done willy nilly. I don't think there is sufficient attention to those young people. You see, when we say bad behavior, I would say these children, and they are children, are failed by society in many different ways.
How do you mean? What
Yeah,
you mean?
we fail these children because the what we just described in terms of what the schools did in order to avoid the fine of having excluded a child, that should be your standard school approach. If you have a child that is for whatever
You shouldn't be
reason,
threatening into doing what is right.
exactly, you know, so if you the schools should do these things naturally. Yes, the school system in this country is designed for everyone. Is designed as a universal service.
Yes.
But all kids are not universal. There are differences. There are cultural differences. There are, you know, family differences. There's a whole range of issues that might affect a child to create behaviors which are perhaps not in line with what we want to see in schools. We have to be in a position to understand what those things are. We have to be able to put mitigation in place. We have to move away from this universal to a much more personalized care. I know we can't do that to the greatest extent that we want to because resources are not there. You can't employ the large.
Going to come to resources.
You can't employ the teachers, the volunteers, the mentors, all of those things. But we should be doing our best to get us close to great standard of education. And excluding young people from school because of this, that, or the other is not the issue. What would shock you is that there was also some evidence not that long ago that a lot of these schools were excluding these children not based on behavior, but based on academic potential.
Can you explain? How?
So the negative incentive
Yes.
was down to all these inspections, school ratings, Ofsted, and all of those things. So a lot of this school wanted to have the best ratings. So young people who were not performing very well, they basically pushed them out of the school. There was
and that's what the report found.
there was no, not this report. There was another report, an investigation by a journalist. The report was called "The Missing Children." So children missing from school. So a school will have at the beginning of the year 800 pupils on their register, but by the time you get towards the end of the year, is maybe 750 or 700
So the
pupils.
school they were only interested in being number one in getting their children to maybe Oxbridge.
Correct. Or
Russell
getting
Group,
certain levels of
some level of-
grades. You know, so they were excluding these children, not because they behaved badly, but because they were perhaps not the most academic in their school. And you see that. You see all these things where the way in which some schools do sets where they put the highest performing children together and they put the lowest performing in another space.
I think that we don't
So
have that anymore.
we still do. We still do.
Really? I
Yes,
thought that
yes.
we phased that out.
No, we still do. And these things are deeply problematic. It means that some people get a level of support that other people don't get. And unfortunately, background, ethnicity plays into that narrative.
I was missing that with I know when you do graduation now, sorry, you come back to what you're explaining. They don't do any previously years ago when I graduated. If you had 2-1 or a first, you go
You go
first.
first. I see. I see.
But that's not happening anymore. It doesn't
Right.
matter whether you're a first or a second class or
Yes.
third. Everyone is being called. I think
In
now
the order of
according to
their name.
exactly,
Yes.
which
Yes.
is
Yes.
fantastic. I think that's why I was thinking maybe it's phased out in the at
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
our secondary school level, but it hasn't been done yet. What you're telling me, they still have this set one, set two.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see your point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
So
can be
you
quite.
spend more resources,
Yes.
more time on those who are already doing well,
Mm-hmm.
and less resources, less time on those who are not doing very well.
Mm,
And you would think the reverse should be true.
mm,
We give more support to those who are struggling,
yeah.
but the incentive to be the top in the sort of whatever
Yeah.
system they
Ofsted
have.
system. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
that incentive is strongly there for schools to do these type of things.
Right.
Mm.
Wow. I do not know what was your training background to even get into sort your niche, your job that you're doing now. How I know that you started off as you had a degree in film.
Mm.
So I'm trying to see how you
Yes,
pivoted
yes.
from that
Yeah.
to the wonderful, because what you're doing is quite vital and crucial to the society. So how did you pivot from that and just don't want to do film anymore? And
Yeah. So I did film
what was
and
the
drama.
inspiration?
It was my interest,
Mhm.
but I would say I always had a community mindset. My father was the head of the church. He was a catechist, which is like something you have in the Catholic Church.
Mhm.
And he was somebody very deeply embedded in community service. And like, for example, he brought the school to our village, the
Mhm.
college. He helped to build the church and so on and so
So
forth.
from childhood, it's
From
been
childhood, there's a lot of inspiration there to work in the community. When I finished my degree, I had the opportunity of working with a number of charities to use film as a way of helping them to fundraise. So
right.
that's how I really got to see what was happening within voluntary organizations.
Mm.
Then I saw a job opportunity to um, work for communities, support community organizations to build their capacity. And to do that, starting with doing an MBA program.
Mhm.
So I signed up for that and I did the MBA program for 2 years. So, Masters in Business Administration. And then I was placed in Croydon to work for 1 year supporting community organizations.
Mhm.
That MBA was more or less like a public sector focused MBA. So,
Mm.
how should government do policy? What should we be doing to address problems in society and so on and so forth? So, the interest from an academic perspective built, and then, of course, the practical experience of actually working in Croydon, talking to communities, seeing the problems that they faced, fighting, speaking up, standing up for these issues,
Mm.
really got me much more exposed to uh, politicians and decision makers at all levels. In Croydon, I ended up being a member of the chief executives group for Croydon.
Mm.
And we basically were making decisions that affected the entire borough, and worked with the local MPs. And through that, became well known in government circles, speaking, public speaking, raising issues, and all of that. So people knew me, and some people who knew me were in government. And I was invited when David Cameron was Prime Minister. He was very interested in social justice and
Mm.
race equality. So they invited me to advise them, not in a paid capacity.
Yeah.
So I just advised them. I met with it was Lord Bridges, who he had appointed to kind of lead this kind of work.
Mhm.
So I spoke to them, and then when Theresa May came in, I was invited again, spoke to them, and then I was offered the opportunity to take the role.
No, wonderful. I mean, because how, so not just advising the government, you advise organizations as well
Yes.
in policy and raise equality issues as well. Right?
Correct. So that's what I did for over 16 years, advising one at a local level. So I set up the Croydon Black and Minority Ethnic Forum.
Why are you not a lawyer?
I am interested in law, but I set up the forum,
Mm-hmm.
and we quickly became the largest Black and minority ethnic forum in the country. So we went around other local authorities, advising other communities to also set up,
Yeah.
and then worked with Black and Asian national organizations, London regional organizations. So we really got into the whole race equality sector and supporting all of the organizations. So I was part of the establishment of Voice for Change, which is an umbrella organization for Black and minority organizations across the country. I was part of setting up something called CORE, Coalition for Race Equality. I worked with MINET, which is Minority Ethnic Network, London, a whole range of organizations that we've supported over the years.
That is so fantastic. I want to go back to our own motherland, as we know, we are both from Nigeria, originally from Nigeria.
Yeah.
You have done so much here, trying to see change. Do you think there's anything you want to take back? Because you have a lot of transferable skills that the government in Nigeria will need if they will listen to the advice you will give. Is that something you think you are open to doing?
So I describe Nigeria and Africa more broadly as my first love. It's as simple as that. And so I am already working across the continent
Okay.
and also in Nigeria. So I advise quite a lot of politicians, both in Nigeria and other countries, including parts of the leadership of the African Union. And Black communities globally. So I'm a board member of a range of organizations at a global level that are looking at issues around the development of our continent. During COVID, I set up something called Sparks Africa, which was podcasting like you're doing, basically shining a light on African people from all over the world who are doing great things. Because I think that helps to inspire the next generation of achievers. So, very interested in Nigeria and in Africa. I want to, because I worked in the policy unit of the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
So this is where, the domestic policy is actually being made. Is the machinery of government. It's exactly how government works, the systems and structures. So that's something that definitely I'll be keen to explore with political leaders in Nigeria. I've been advising a number of ministers in different areas and other leaders, and also training.
Did they implement any of your advice?
They do. I think the system in Nigeria, the issue, as many people would know, is that we're probably not suffering from a deficit of ideas. It's more about the willingness to actually drive things forward. Yes. But I think inevitably over time it will change, it will build on itself, and it will improve. So that's what I want to focus on, is on shining a light on where things are not working, and ideas not just from the UK but from other parts of the world that can contribute to making positive change in our country. So I'm very committed to that. I think whether it's tech, which is an area I think Nigeria should be radically focusing on because it's an area of great opportunity for the country. Whether it's young people, the numbers of young people in Nigeria is astronomical. I think about 70%. But they are the builders of the future. We need to focus on ways to support them to succeed. And all issues, even issues around gender equality, because I think any nation that wants to succeed needs to be able to tap into the skills, the values of their female population.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
so
which Nigeria is not doing at the moment.
Yeah, so I think we have to open the doors to all of these great opportunities that are ahead of us. I still think Nigeria is a nation of the future. We have the population. Yeah, because we have all the key ingredients that will make for a really stable, strong, prosperous nation.
Just for people to know.
Yeah, the key ingredients is that we have a huge population, so that's massive. Not only that, we have a huge youth population.
True.
These young people are global. They are not just Nigeria minded.
Yes.
They have access to all over the world. They're on social media. There are massive populations in every social media. Nigeria is almost always top 5 of the population in any of these things. So there's a lot of exchange of information at a global level. We have huge natural resources. None of them are tapped apart from oil, but we have other huge resources,
Like,
for example, gold, like lithium, like other minerals, rare earth minerals. Nigeria is rich in minerals. So we have a great opportunity to tap into those in the future. But the human capital is the one that I really want to focus on. We have massive population of highly, highly educated people, but they are not being put into use. A lot of our graduates are having to do menial jobs that are not fit for the qualifications that they have, simply because we haven't developed the economy to that level. I hope, and I know that this is a thing in Nigeria, that we are very entrepreneurial, but I think that that's something we can really turbocharge and step up to the next level, really create opportunities for Nigerian businesses to thrive, for individuals to start up their own businesses. And that requires infrastructure, it requires electricity, it requires, good logistics, good roads, good, all of these basic things that need to start to just be put in place. Politicians in government can do what they do, but just create these opportunities for the young people to take the country to the next level. So I think that in the next 50 years, Nigeria will be standing.
I don't want to be to the next 50 years. I don't know if I'm going to still live in. I want it to happen now.
Yes, I'm saying that to be a bit
I know
realistic.
what you mean. Yeah, I
Yes.
agree with you.
But yeah, Nigeria is a country where, despite all of the problems,
Yes.
if you have the ways to look and understand how progress operates,
Yes.
Nigeria is actually making progress every year, in spite of all of the challenges.
I don't see it. Sorry, can you tell? Because I don't know not
Yeah.
only I've heard someone else say that. I'm always challenging my colleague. He's trying to tell me I do not see the progress he's talking about, because
So-
when they change in naira, it's still very high for me. I do. I know the other thing, like you said, the main basic thing, we don't have light, we don't have good roads. So I still don't know what changes we are talking about. Sorry.
So not that long ago, Nigeria overtook South Africa as the wealthiest nation in Africa. Yeah, that's progress. I think we've gone back a bit, but that you can see what progress can look like. If you haven't been to Nigeria for a long time, yes, say you haven't been to Nigeria for 5 years. Like, I was away because of COVID, I was away for a long time. When I went back to Lagos and then to Abuja, the place had completely transformed.
Do you mean the whole of Lagos? Sorry,
Not the whole of
I
Lagos.
mean, people talk about Lagos. Me personally, Lagos gives me anxiety. I'm sorry, I'm not criticizing. It's a lovely, lovely city, but it gives me anxiety because of the traffic.
Yes, yes.
Yes, so.
But the traffic is something that can be solved. There are solutions to it.
But that's where you should come in. Let them. They need to listen to you. That has been advising over here with your strategy to be implemented.
But they are gradually moving in the right direction. So the traffic situation is because the vast majority of the population are using their cars. Yes. So what you have to do is provide the right type of public transport so that people don't use their cars. So, for example, I know they did the Blue Line, which is a bus lane to enable that sort of travel to happen. You have to think, for Lagos, you have to think about things like using the waters, because there's clearly surrounded by water, so transportation in that sense, tram systems, rail systems, more buses. I don't know if they can do all the ground given the nature of the place, but obviously sometime in the future, the technology is there to make all of those things possible. So it's the gradual progress and improvement of public transport. Once you can do that, people will move the cars out of the roads. There's no point going to work trying to drive your car and staying in traffic for 2 hours when you can get to work in 15 minutes. Yeah, so these are the solutions of the future. It takes a long time to plan these things, but you can see gradual progress. So those solutions exist. And I think Lagos has improved vastly. It has. Abuja is growing
For you to
every
use
single
the
day.
word vastly,
Yeah,
there
vastly.
must have been
Yes, it has. And you can
great.
see it physically. You can see the nature of the buildings. You can see business thriving. Our stock exchange is doing okay.
Mm.
These things will build on top of each other and you will see gradual progress over time. Abuja has improved fantastically.
That is my.
Yes,
I love Abuja.
yes,
Sorry, I
yes.
love Lagos because I know they're going to listen to that and say that I don't
Mm,
love Lagos.
mm.
No, please. But I love Abuja the
Yes,
most.
Abuja is fantastic. And what you would see as well is that the states, the individual states, are going to also grow. They are. Especially when the thing
How
about
do you think that that's going to happen?
so
Do
the
they
thing
have
about states is that when you have a state, they will have a capital.
a?
That capital becomes a lightning rod to businesses. Hotels will go up, entertainment will go up, all kinds of sporting, all kinds of things will build around it. And just as you see in Abuja, so you can see Abuja expanding.
Mm-hmm.
You can imagine in the future, especially on that airport road,
Mm-hmm.
you can imagine massive developments going up in that area. That's going to be a built up city in the future,
You're
without
right.
a doubt.
Mm.
Places like Gwagwalada, which is like a neighboring town,
Mm-hmm.
all of those places are going to be transformed in due time. You can already see it happening.
I want to
Yes.
see it now. But
Mm.
anyway, um, great things you're doing. I don't want us here in the UK to lose you to Nigeria. So
Mm.
because you're doing a very good job here. So whatever you do,
Mm.
make sure you're still here because you're helping a lot of breaking the barrier, the change that we need for our young
Mm.
minority here, especially the young men.
Mm.
So please do remain in the UK.
But Nigeria needs us more.
We
Uh,
would,
you know,
of course, we
so
would.
sometimes I think of Marco Polo.
Yeah.
I think of back in the days.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, there is a kind of a philosophy that really holds on with me. So I'm Urobo from Delta,
Mm.
and we have a saying that in Urobo we say, "Wode- edekpuri ekekpo."
Meaning.
When you go to the river, you must come back home.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the river is overseas. When you go overseas, you must come back home.
Of course, I'm not saying you
Yeah.
shouldn't. Of course, come back
Mm.
home, but don't abandon here
Yeah,
because you're
but
do
I'm saying that
do
for
both.
all of our professionals who are here,
Mm-hmm.
because Nigeria now is there is a huge diaspora community. Marco Polo, the beginning in a sense of diplomacy. You go to other countries, you see what they do, and you bring the knowledge back home. If Nigeria is clever, we have people in every walk of life all over the world.
True.
Doctors, lawyers, healthcare professionals, engineers in America, in the UK, everywhere. We would do well to tap into the knowledge base of the diaspora. But as individuals, we should do it.
Yeah.
We should always, one, even just share our knowledge with family members, with
Mm-hmm.
friends,
Mm-hmm.
have conversations. All these things help to inspire people in some shape or form. They make a big difference. But at a strategic level, the government should have a program of tapping into the skills and experience of Nigerians overseas and bringing that to bear in our country. This is one of the underpinnings of China's development and growth.
Mm.
It is the Chinese communities in the diaspora that have contributed massively to growing their businesses, bringing it
Their
intellectual
knowledge.
knowledge, bringing in their expertise, bringing in their experiences, and building massive companies in China. So I think that that's what we should be looking at. All Nigerians, all Africans should think in their mind, how can my knowledge and experience contribute to the development on the
You
continent?
know that a lot of us love Nigeria a lot. We do. And this is my take, and I think most people share that as well.
Mm.
If only constant light, electricity, I'll tell you, without even the government, offering so much, maybe not giving you, a lot of people will go back with their own money, resources, small businesses, whatever. I I give you an example. I remember some years back when I used to do my masters and I come to the city to use the library, and it's up till 10 a.m., 10 p.m. Each time I'm going home, it's like Bond Street. Life is just beginning. It's like, it's a new whole life because there's constant life. The businesses are ongoing. Even the smallest business in the roadside, the ones who do the small chops, you know, a lot of a lot of Nigerians in diaspora would not even need the government to do anything for them. If only one person, one government can say, yes, let us just give constant light, that one singular thing will make a great change.
Yeah, I think electricity will definitely make a great change, but we shouldn't wait. Whatever we can do now, we should do it. Nigerians in diaspora send a huge amount of money to Nigeria, which is making a big difference. Now, these days, there is all kinds of solar and things like that that people can implement. Uh, but if we wait, we will wait forever in many ways. So we always have to continue to do the bits that we can. But I think the greatest, I suppose, export we can provide is knowledge.
Yep.
I think that's the greatest space is knowledge, sharing our knowledge, giving our expertise. I think that's far more important than a doctor going home for 2 weeks and checking people's eyes and doing all those things. That's great, but the knowledge will remain forever. Some people will be inspired to take on. So Nigerians are entrepreneurial beyond measure. You know, we
Indeed.
really have we're a country that is a go-getter kind of country.
Yep.
Everybody is stepping up to do something. They just have barriers in front of them. Government should be removing those barriers. We should be helping to remove those barriers and sharing the ideas and so on. And now that people have access to social media, the fourth industrial revolution, digital revolution, everybody has a mobile phone. There is so much that we can share. Instead of sharing jokes and nonsense on WhatsApp, we should be sharing knowledge.
Well, we
should be
need
sharing.
therapeutic. A lot
Yeah,
of
we
people
also need
do
to
that
laugh. I know.
therapeutic.
Yeah, so we can do both.
Life is hard
Yeah.
already as it is.
Yeah,
No,
the
no,
balance right now
I
is
agree
too
with
much
you,
on
though.
entertainment.
No,
We
I
should
agree
try
with
and
you.
get knowledge sharing going.
But I can see where that um how social media is very helpful, but also not so very helpful. Why a lot of people are, I wish, look what has happened to our entertainment industry. Just to buttress your point, these people didn't wait for anything. They did what they had to do to make it now, Afrobeat to be globally what it is today. No one gave them anything. The government, it's not like here where we have the government assisting the creative industry. They did what they have to do. So, in that sense, I do agree with you that we all have to do what we can do to help to grow, to make whatever change we can. When Nollywood started, they didn't they shoot the movie anywhere.
Yeah,
They were not waiting. Any camcorder was good enough.
exactly.
Well, of course, even though they still need a lot of to to grow. There's a lot that needs to be done. But they did what they had to do to bring it to the level they are. And I wish our government are able to even do 1% of that. Not even huge.
But we have to encourage them. The government, obviously, I think we're getting to a stage where if you're in government, people want to see progress. I think our current president, I can see that they're feeling the heat in terms of the response of the nation to the economic situation as it is. I think people should recognize that they have power as citizens and they need to speak, you know. One of my own
I think they are doing so.
yeah,
The young
they are.
ones are doing. I
Yes.
commend them.
But it's a continuous process,
yeah.
so we must keep it up. And we will change our government over time. It's inevitable. A lot of countries went through this phase until you get a government that really understands the national interest, really understand the importance of a legacy, you know, and of delivering for the people. It's your name that actually matters. It's not how much money is in your bank account. So we've got our values skewed in some shape or form.
It's always
But
been
I
the
think
case.
I think we've got to encourage, we've got to continue to campaign and engage and have the discussions. On the social media front, I actually think we are at the stage where we need our homegrown social media and things of that nature. Because what is the content that is coming from all the existing one, they have a particular impact on a cultural level, which is not necessarily positive. And of course, they are businesses. So we are being used as income generation for those companies. The income they generate from all the things, all the entertainment coming from Nigerians stays with them. It doesn't stay in Nigeria.
But in a way, I agree with you, but not totally. And the reason why I say that, it's also aside from the Nollywood and the entertainment industry, because Nollywood is the biggest employer in Nigeria now, whether we like it or not, it's the
Yeah.
truth. And those content creators, it may be going to the companies, so maybe YouTube or Netflix, whatever, but that's the only way most of them are really earning income.
Oh yeah, so that's great. I don't mind at all, and I support them earning the income. But a lot of Nigerians are becoming thousandaires, millionaires, maybe. Uh, but the Americans are billionaires in dollars. Yes. So that's the difference.
Yeah.
The point is that we have all the facilities to make our own social media.
Right.
Again, take a look at China. China has their own social media that are huge companies comparable to the US companies.
So
Yes.
why don't you do something to
Yeah,
get
it's
us?
something that I'm exploring myself. I'm very much
Okay.
interested in tech and doing things like that. But yeah, so the point is, these are the conversations we need to have. How are we being exploited by global forces? How do we take ownership of those things in our own context as Nigeria? How do we protect our heritage? How do we protect our culture? Because these things that are coming to us, they come with particular baggage. They come with change. They come with cultural imposition. Yeah, these are things that we have to address as a society if we want to strongly move forward as a stable nation without all the crisis that we're facing. We've got to generate employment for the teeming youth population in the country. If we want to feed ourselves, we've got to do well in agriculture.
Agreed.
If we want to, so many
So many.
areas that we can and must focus on in order to drive progress as a nation.
Well, this is what we're going to do, because I don't think our time will allow us to explore so much about Nigeria. You have a lot to say. We are going to bring you back on the
No
Unleashed
problem.
so that we can explore more about Nigeria and what else, because it's such interesting, beautiful country
Yeah.
that 1 hour is not even enough to talk about it. But that's what we do next time. So if you're happy to come back again, we'll be happy to have you again to
I'll
talk
be
more
very
about
happy.
Nigeria.
I'm actually
Please.
working on a book
Okay.
about the future of Nigeria.
Okay.
The whole concept, not necessarily the title, but the whole concept is that progress is possible, but it's not inevitable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what are the things you have? If you sit back and relax, the progress is not going to happen. There are things we can do at all levels in the country in order to achieve that progress. So, what I'm going to do in that book is set out the things that I think Nigeria should be focusing on in order to drive progress. In the
Okay,
next
and you're going to
50
come
years.
here, and when you launch it, you're coming here to promote it.
We can do that, no problem
The
at all. That
problem,
would be
yeah, we'll talk,
fantastic.
yeah, once that is out. But back to the UK, you just had in April, just last month, about the King Trust this conference. It was last month about.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what the topic was about, and then you had like a discussion, discussing about strategy again. It was just last month, the
Okay.
King's Trust. You
Right.
didn't invite me on that, so but yeah, that's okay. What was that about?
Oh,
What
about
did
our
you?
strategy. So
Yes, that's
that was an internal thing. So,
okay. Good.
but we've been working on our next 5 year strategy. So 2025 to 2030.
Mm,
What would the King Trust be focusing on?
right.
Yes, we've recently just launched it, like in the last week, in
Okay.
fact. And so this strategy is basically we looked at what's happening nationally.
Mm-hmm.
We talked to a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the things that really jumped at us was that there are just under 1 million young people who are not in employment, education, or training in this country,
Mm.
which we think is a tragedy,
Mm.
really. If you think about it, that is almost the population of Birmingham,
Yep.
the second largest city in the UK.
That's
So it's
huge.
an incredible challenge. We also recognize that um, some of the young people who are facing the most significant barriers are even further away from any opportunity around employment. So as an organization, we decided that that is an issue we seriously want to tackle.
Mm.
We've set up a new vision, that our vision is ending youth unemployment. So
Mm.
that's what we want to focus on. And within that, there are 4 key things that we want to drive forward. The first is tackle inequality. So really focus on those young people who are facing the most significant barrier, whether it's because of where they are born and where they live and the lack of opportunity in those places,
Mm.
whether they're from Black, Asian, minority, ethnic background, or they are young women, or they are young people living with a disability or long-term condition. We want to be able to tackle inequality and support those young people to overcome the barriers that they face. Secondly, we want to build the workforce of the future.
Mm.
Some young people, the future now is about AI, is about technology, is about all this stuff. We don't want a case of an unjust transition.
Mm.
We want to be able to help young people to make the progress that they need in the future.
Mm.
The third is about being a bolder voice for change. We can't solve these problems alone. We've got to talk to other people. We've got to engage with other organizations in order to be able to drive the change that we want to see in the world. And then lastly, make every pound count, which is about making sure that the resources that we get, we put them to the best use and we improve our organization to be the best possible organization to end youth unemployment. So that's what that was about.
Thank you so much for coming today. What an insight. Just one last question. Do you offer any mentorship or the organization aside from like one-on-one mentorship? There's some people who wanted that.
Yeah, I mentor quite a number of people,
Okay.
young people, both working on the African continent, but also working in the UK. And as an organization, we do have some mentoring programs, but it's limited programs.
Mm.
We are working on an idea around mentorship nationally.
Okay.
But there are other organizations that also do mentorship as well. So there's a lot of opportunities.
All right. Thank you, Nero, for coming today.
Great.
It's been such exciting time chatting with you. We hope to have you back again soon.
No problem.
Thank
I look
you.
forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.